Alright, so the last flashback review until late September. Sorry this took long to get out, but I was on a pretty much mini vacation. Now I'm back, and now it's time for me to talk about one of my favorite movie critics, probably a lot of people's favorite movie critics, Siskel and Ebert. Now, why am I bringing this as a flashback review? Really has to do with my feelings towards their show, as well as reviewing now. So this is going to be a flashback review, but it's also going to be a tribute to some of my newer favorite reviewers. And if you guys are watching this, keep in mind I'm doing this for you guys. Now, before I go into this, I was never really big on movie critics' opinion, and that's largely because I felt they didn't speak my language. I didn't get into really dive into the movies until 1989. I saw my movies mostly on TV. It was only a few times that I went to the movie theaters with my mom. It was only a few times that I went at a young age, seeing Oliver and Company in theaters with a bunch of other kids at a matinee, all the way to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So my limitations was very, very limited. It wasn't until 1989 when I really started diving into movies. Um, I don't know what came over me during the summer of 1989, but I started to watch Cisco and even a lot more. I still watched them every now and then, but as a kid, I didn't know what the hell they were doing. When I got into like age 12, already know recognizing both of them with the glasses and the skinny features, I really started diving in. I realized, okay, these are movie critics, and they was not the only one I watched. Channel 11 had one as well, called At the Movies, but Cisco and Ebert was always the one that really captivated me for one reason, and it has to do with the Ghostbusters 2 review they did. Now, they did not like Ghostbusters 2. I was kind of stunned. I was upset. I was with a theater that was enjoying it, and here were two critics that hated it. And I was very mad they hated it. I was very upset. How can you hate Ghostbusters 2? How can you hate Ghostbusters, period? But there was something that kept me coming back to them. And normally when I hear somebody I don't agree with, and I normally just shut them off, they came back to them for a different reason. It wasn't as much that I disagree with their reviews that brought me back, but why they disagree with it. Cisco and Ebert kept a lot of their reviews more personal to them. They didn't really show too many bad, I'd say bad, but too many these aristocrat languages that only the smartest person can understand. They actually kept it real. When you hear them do a conversation, when they agree or disagree with the movies they talk about, you can tell that it's more about them than just basically trying to be uppity. Cisco and Ebert, when they had a conversation, when they argue, you know they arguing because they have a passion towards the movie they're arguing about, and that always that captivated me. That always seemed to let me say, you know what? Yeah, this is something I can actually go through. So I sat down and watched them, and I kept watching them, and I kept coming back because although I may agree with some of their reviews or disagree with some of their views, I can understand why um, they agree or disagree because they are putting it to them. They're not trying to be this social class critics. They're just basically saying this is why I enjoy the film, this is why I didn't enjoy the film, and this is always made for good debates on why they didn't. Because if you look at the reason why, they're not exactly always wrong. It's just this is something that they always punch head in. They have a different style, a different take on how they view the movies, a different taste how they view the movies. I think the one thing that I can actually say they were more prejudiced on was slasher films. They made it very clear they didn't like slasher films, and they basically didn't think that they was genuine. They basically felt that the actors are being sexualized or being viewed in the wrong way. And this didn't rub a lot of people the right way, and basically got a lot of people from the industry mad because they basically torn down a whole entire industry without even giving it much thought that maybe there is a fan base for this industry. However, there were some things that they did right, and I go back to my Hoop Dreams review, one of the very earliest reviews I've done as a flashback review. And this is a movie that not only stunned the hell out of me, but stunned the hell out of a lot of people. word of mouth went through the roof, and people went and see this documentary. I still consider it one of the best documentaries ever made. It's one of my top four best documentaries ever made. And I'm not a big documentary fan, but I give credit where credit's due. When you stop me from eating popcorn and soda and make me pay attention to what's going on screen, you've done something right. And Siskel and Ebert have gave nothing but high praises for this film, and they went to bat for this film when the Academy Awards had basically ripped them off. They basically screwed them, and Siskel and Ebert was not about to let that stand. And two things happened. I lost a lot of respect for the Academy Awards after that, but most of all, I gained a lot of respect for Siskel and Ebert speaking out for the injustice of a film that they know that was purposely being kept out of the best documentary category. And they really earned high praises when a whole new can of worms came out saying that they was purposely being kept out of it and brought questions to the voting selections as well as the people behind the choices that these films make. And that was pretty much all Siskel and Ebert from there. That they really came to bat for this film. They didn't let this go, and I find that remarkable. These are critics that could have just simply rubbed their hands off the situation and just move on to the next review. But no, they made it a business to bring this attention because it was an injustice towards the film, and that was one thing I really got to admire about them. They was not afraid to speak out for something that they felt was wrong, and I became a fan of them ever since. I didn't. It was at the later time, and I think I started drifting away from it. It's not against the other critic that replaced Jen Siskel, but I didn't realize he was sick at the time. I just thought he was taking a vacation all the time. It was then brought to my knowledge, so a friend of mine said, "Yeah, he's been sick for a while. He hasn't been in the theater, in the booth for a long time." And when I found out he died, it just stunned me. I'm like, "Wow, he passed away. How will Roger Ebert actually move on?" And of course, he had special guests from Out of Special Guests and Richard Roeper, which to this day still reviews movies. He does it pretty much on YouTube. You can actually find them. I can see the difference between the two. And Roger Ebert still kept on going. He still did his reviews, but you could tell the thing was changed. Richard Roeper is a younger, more, I would say, more of a hipster kind of reviewer. Hope you don't take offense to that, but he has a different taste in films. And although I think he was a good choice to be that co-star next to Roger Ebert, it never became the same. There was a chemistry that Siskel and Ebert had that could never be matched. Siskel and Ebert, and I know from the documentary that recently came out, from the documentary, even from some of the stuff that I've heard of, they wasn't exactly best of friends. They didn't exactly get along. But over the years, I mean, how can you not love each other over the years? If you, especially with the career you guys have taken from PBS all the way down to here. I mean, it's just impossible. This was the one thing I actually liked, that you can see them disagreeing, but you also see at the same time respecting each other. Yeah, they will clash heads. There's no, get me wrong, they clash heads. They even clash heads in the Johnny Carson show, which is kind of hilarious. But you can always see that there was a mutual respect. You can always see that, oh, okay, you don't like this film, but at least you know why he didn't like this film. Richard Roeper, he wasn't that type of a critic. He still disagreed with Roger Ebert, but Richard Roeper was more into more modern films. His style was more. If you would watch a superhero film, that would be Richard Roeper's alley. Not so much for art films. I didn't consider him more of an artsy type of guy film than anything else, and he was more into that entertainment value. You can't give him a movie that ain't bore him. That's the kind of picture I get. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the kind of the picture I have. So when Roger Ebert went down, I pretty much understood he had a lot of health problems, so I didn't see that happening. And it looks like Richard Roeper was not happy with the way they wanted to do the direction, so they just ended it right there. Then they did something else, and I think the guy, I got respect from the Young Turks. I know he was one of the people who he replaced. There was no way you can replace after Roger Ebert left. There was just no way they can continue on. They did try again. I think Channel 13 had it for a while, where Roger Ebert at the movies. We had other people who was doing it, and I just stared at these guys, and all they did was say thumbs up, thumbs down. They didn't even do a review, which drove me nuts. I'm like, how the hell are you gonna give thumbs up? Why are you giving a thumbs up, thumbs down? What's going on? And I was like, are you serious? This is the format you're gonna go with? I mean, come on. And the only thing that saved me from completely turning off the channel was I saw Roger Ebert. And this is after he had done his cancer treatment, after he had his jaw removed, and he had the computerized. He's typing, and I'm hearing, even though it's a computer voice, I still consider it as his voice, and he's telling you why he liked it, what was something that that he enjoyed, and why he gave it a thumbs up. And I'm like, that's how you do an actual review. You don't just say thumbs up and that's it. It was the most. It's sad how bad that thing fallen. Even though it was reported that Roger Ebert shut it down himself, saying he wanted to see if he can get high quality. And I don't think they're ever going to bring it back again. How can you bring it back again? You can't. He was the heart and soul. God rest his soul. He was the reason why at the movie worked. Him and Gene Siskel. So I just think, just leave it alone. I think that I want to remember it just the way it is. YouTube have plenty of videos of Siskel and Ebert I can go back to, and they're always fun to listen to their opinions. Even though these films are decades old, I always like hearing their opinions. And I don't think that other reviewers can, in terms of the actual ones who are getting paid to do it, can do justice. And this is what leads me to a situation where I found myself in, and what I did with YouTube, and this is one of the reasons why I acted as a tribute. I completely ignored reviewers for a while. Even the Daily News, there was a lot of stuff. Even though some of them are okay, I didn't consider them as top-notch viewers. Some of them, I think they do it for popularity contests. I'm not a big fan of the 5-star system. I think the 4-star system is good enough. You don't need a 5th star. What's the purpose of having a 5th star? A lot of these reviewers seem to be snobby, and I'll be honest, some of them are actually bought and paid for by Hollywood. I don't feel like get an honest to goodness review out of some of these so-called mainstream viewers. So I left it alone. And then one day, after strolling on the YouTube pages, I came across two channels. I came across Jimmy John's first. And Jimmy John's, I remember the very first video that I've seen from him. It was his top 10 worst list. And I looked at Jeremy Johns and I said, okay, well, he looks like a movie critic because you don't put a top 10 mess unless you're a critic. And I said, yeah, there's thing on there. I said, okay, well, maybe give it a chance. He looks like a guy he may be young, but you know, he may surprise me. And he surprised me. I mean, he surprised me more than I actually think I give him credit for. Because the first thing that came out was him swearing. I'm like, okay, this is not a normal critic. I could tell. But there was a lot of energy towards what he was saying. There was a lot of stuff that he was talking about within a very short span of time he had. He brought out why he liked and disliked. And I said, you know what? Let me give this guy a chance. Let me see what his other work was. And then I clicked on, and I saw his work for the Legion. I saw his work for the Transformers 2. I saw the work for all the stuff, and I'm smiling, having fun with it. But most importantly, I am respecting a man's opinion because he's not just being those snobbish reviewers. He's actually giving you his honest opinion of what he felt for the film, and he still does it to this day. He does a hell of a job to this day. Then came my second experience with another reviewer called The Smalls. And this was through Jeremy Johns. Jeremy Johns and The Smalls did a classic review of Howard the Duck, and it was hilarious. It was more on the Smalls side than anything else, but I said, you know what? Let me check out The Smalls. And then I saw The Smalls videos. I saw what they was talking about. I saw what they was doing, and I seen not just the reviewers, but I see two casual guys just talking about a film they saw and what they feel about the films. And I became hooked on them. Then I saw the freaking film critic, which I don't believe he has done review, because I know he actually said he was going to step out of reviewing for a while. And he was actually pretty good. My first experience with him was The Last Airbender. And you can tell, again, there's a person who's his own feelings, his own opinion, his own thoughts. He's not trying to be snobbish or anything. He's giving you his own pain right there. And then I saw someone who was, in my opinion, as close as you're going to get to a conservative reviewer that you can be. Theory of the Film Fan. Theory of the Film Fan reviews were very straightforward, and I really liked how he did his reviews. He was very professional in his reviews, and he had a personal attachment to the reviews. I remember him not liking. This is actually something I was very, very interested in seeing how, because I seen the movie and I actually wanted to see his feelings on it. And he talked about his feelings on it. Let the Right One In. I thought Let the Right One In was a great, dramatic foreign horror film that didn't rely too much on special effects, but more on the actors who were starring this film, and they really did a great job of showcasing these young stars, and they did a great job on screen. Fury did not like the film very much, but at least he gave his reason. It was more of some of the disturbing scenes of children's private parts being name a few, to some of the stuff that was happening. And he felt that this film did his own morals. He could not like this film, and I respected that. I mean, hey, he's keeping it real. He could have easily said, "I hate this film," blah blah blah, but he's explaining what it is and how he explained it. I can sit there and say, yeah, I can see him and a lot of other people who feel just like him not liking this film. Now, a lot of people did response videos, of course, about the course this is based on the book, but keep in mind the book varies. I haven't read the novel, but I understand that the book varies from time to time, and they're not going to stop that some of the people explaining the book. You don't put it down. We're not going to put on the screen. But again, I understood what he was coming from. This didn't stop me from actually going back to the reviewers. John Chattelbatch got my attention. A fellow New Yorker, at least I'm hoping he's still in New York, and a person who I actually admired. He brings his opinions up, and he also said, please take this film in consideration, saying pretty much in his own words, I may not like the film, or I may not like the film, but you decide whether you like the film or not, and take into consideration of what he is. And this guy is really, really deep. I actually respected his trust review. Not a fan of the movie. I didn't think the film was that well written. I'm keeping it real, but I actually respect why he liked it and why this spoke volumes to him. So again, these are one of the reviewers. I continued going through this. I've seen pretty much it. Menzel, one of the guys, Catherine Reichman, which all these guys, all these movie reviewers, which led me also to the Nostalgia Critic, who I don't think he gives himself more credit being an honest reviewer than I think he believes. He still does comedic faction. He talks about nostalgic reviews. He's talking about new review stuff. But there's also some of his editorials that I really do enjoy. I enjoy that a lot more than I actually think I will actually would expect it, because his editorials it's fantastic. His views, his opinions, all amazing. And when he talks about films of his top 10 list and worst list, he's keeping it close to him. He's keeping it close to what he does. So Doc Walker, if you're looking at this, I don't know if you ever will, you give yourself more credit, because to me, that's a critic. Even though you play in a character, the nostalgia critic, your editorial, that's all you. What you're talking about, that's all you. Not many people can come on camera and actually give their own editorial spin on why they like a film, why they don't like a film. And you do a superb job on that, more so than I think you give yourself credit for. So tip your cap, pal, man. You do a good job on that. And this is also the same for the blockbuster buster, Enron, who, in my opinion, is the perfect fanboy critic. A lot of his movies are pretty much either comic books or films that are based on that type of law. And he does a magnificent job. He doesn't do a star system. He doesn't need to do a star system. hear his opinions. And you may not agree with it, you may disagree with it, but these were his opinions, especially with his honest reviews. I think he does a great job with the honest reviews, and he does talk about it really, and he keeps it real. He don't talk about every film. You're not gonna see him talking about an RC film. It's not gonna happen. But he won't talk about the films that are considered blockbuster films, mega blockbuster films, comic book films, and will give his own opinion on that. And you can choose to like it or dislike it. But at least with Enron, he's speaking to the fanboys, the real diehard fanboys. He is truly a fanboy critic. Why am I bringing all these characters up? Because to me, these reviewers that I've just talked about, the reviewers that I mentioned by name, all the next generation reviewers. They are the next generation's movie critics. And to me, they hold more clout and more respect for me and for a lot of people who watch their channels than any of the guys who written for the Daily News on the block. Why? Because these guys are not fake. What you see on their YouTube channels or on Blimp or on that guy with the glasses or even at Manic Expression, you're seeing the real thing. When I see Deckard Shadow Review, I'm seeing the real deal. I'm not seeing nobody faking anything or trying to be smarter than anybody else or trying to look down on anyone else. You're seeing actual opinions being thrown into it. So there's something that the industry have forgotten, something that has been sorely missed from Siskel and Ebert. This is why I watched Siskel and Ebert. Once because they wasn't afraid to say something that I may not agree with, but also wasn't afraid to be normal about it and bring their own opinions about it in a way that is actually can make sense. And these are the critics, and I call them critics, not just reviewers, but critics, in my opinion, that speaks to me more than anyone I read in the papers. Especially those at theLateSpill.com. Spill.com, I went there because, number one, they had fun when they talked about the videos, about the movies. They enjoyed the reviews, and even to this day, with Double Toasted, Corey and Corey Coleman, and the guy I can't get his name. Oh, I'm so terribly sorry. Corey Martin, sorry, Corey Martin, or Leon, because that's why the names escape me. When they do they Double Toast, they're still doing reviews, but you're hearing a general, honest feeling of why they don't like a film. It's not something that you're gonna hear no aristocrat language. Oh, they think this is the dialogue. Is this? No, you're getting a real review. That's the reason why people come to these channels. And I think that Hollywood, and they have been for a while. I mean, Chris Stuckman has been getting recognized, and deservedly so. The Smalls are definitely recognized. Jeremy Johns as well. These are the kind of guys that Hollywood should take a look at and ask themselves what kind of video they actually want. And that's the thing that I think people need to do. Because Hollywood, to me, this sounds Hollywood, but the way critics are now, especially with the mass media critics, the ones who actually get their names in the papers, they write their reviews, they tell you about your opinion, but it's always in dialogue that which people don't really care for. People don't really, there's no real passion for it. There's no real thrill for it. And these guys give you that real thrill. These guys give you that real passion. These guys give you these general opinion that whether you disagree or agree with them, you can at least respect them because, hey, look, it's coming from the heart. It's coming from their own view of what they see. And so, from you're probably gonna get it from the masses, but for me, I can safely say for Jeremy Johns, to the Smalls, to Deckard Shadow, to Y-Boy, to the Nostalgia Critic, the Nostalgia Chick, to Brows Held High, to Jeremy John, to Enron of the Blockbuster Buster, to Fear the Film Fan, which, by the way, you haven't been forgotten. Even though you haven't done a post video in over 2 years, you've played a very important part in the YouTube community, and that will never be forgotten. To Chris Stuckman, to everyone who posts a video on YouTube who do reviews on YouTube or on Blimp or whatever site you choose to use your reviews. I say to you, thank you for giving us the honest opinions when you come to reviewing these movies. And with that, I end this Flashback review. Flashback review will take a month hiatus, but it will be back no later than the last week of September. But until then, guys, this is J77 saying, take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon.